welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you, and this one's a little bit different than usual because actually this is a little Simsy build challenge. So basically a build challenge is where someone creates a ridiculous looking build of some kind, usually it's just the outside, and then you have to figure out how to do something with it. The idea is that you can't actually touch the walls of the building other than putting like a floor plan inside of it. You can add half walls, fences, roofs, that kind of thing. But if they make like a horrible, like crazy looking exterior, you have to keep it that way. So for this one, all she did was actually do a circle. So I actually put 2 of them on the lot. I feel like that's fair. And I decided I wanted to make them into little mushrooms. So that's a little bit of fun, something a little bit different. So you can see there I'm trying to create this mushroom aesthetic, and I decided to go with that like classic fairy tale looking like red topped, and I will add little white dots on it near the end of the video. I finally figure out what I want to do in order to do that because it just felt not quite right. Like it looked really good, but I was like, something's missing. And when I tell you, when I added those pieces in, it was like a whole different build. So what I actually ended up doing, I'm so excited actually about this build. It looks so adorable. It actually has a cute little outside area and an adorable pond out in the front as well that your Sims can use and play in and all of that kind of good stuff. And it has little ducks swimming around in it. I mean, it's adorable. And what I'm doing here basically is especially going through debug and pulling out like all the different trees and things and just layering, because I wanted it to look like these mushrooms were inside of a forest, and I tried to make it to where the trees were huge to kind of give it that perspective of it being a mushroom, like it being smaller, if that makes sense. And what I decided to do, so for those of you, if you are new or have not seen any of my videos, I like to actually put Sims in my screenshots. And what I actually decided was that the mushroom on the left, both of these are going to be houses. The one on the left is for a gnome, and the one on the right is for a fairy. So we actually have a gnome and a fairy that are living in this mushroom forest, and it is quite possibly the cutest thing that I've actually ever built. So I'm actually really excited about this, and I think it came out really well. And I spent a lot of time on the outside figuring out how I wanted to make this look very magical and cute and adorable and fairy tale like, and like I gave them these super cute like flower red mailboxes. And of course on a Sims lot, like you only need one, but I felt like these are 2 houses, they're for 2 different Sims was my intention, so I put 2 out there, although that really wouldn't work that way. And if you wanted to use this lot, you could do like either having everyone in the household and then just like locking the doors so only certain people can go into certain houses. The other option is to actually do a roommate situation where like you have a Sim that lives in one of the mushrooms and then you can get a roommate for the other one. And the caveat is that you just have to take care of the other house, like if stuff breaks and things like that, but you'd get paid for it. So that is one way to pretend like you actually have a neighbor, but you don't actually have to take care of them and make sure that they're okay. And then I actually went back and forth a lot about the fence in the very front and exactly what I wanted the entrance to this to look like, because I really wanted it to be like you're entering into this like adorable little fairy tale place. And this is actually in Henford-on-Bagley, and it is the Isle of Volpe, I think is how you say that lot. So, and it's, I forgot the size, but it's a pretty sizable lot because I figured if I wanted to add all of those trees and everything around it to really immerse the build in looking like a forest, I would need a big lot for that. So just as a warning, if you want to download this off the gallery, it is a bigger lot and it does cost 75,000 simoleons. So it's actually not horrible in comparison to some of my other builds, but it can be a little bit pricey, but I feel like personally very much worth it if you want to like play with this kind of storyline. And it is already available on the Sims 4 gallery if you would like to download that, and you can look under my gallery ID, Spice and Sprinkles, all one word, and it's down in the description if you want to check it out. And so here I'm just kind of creating that little pond that your Sims can like play in and things like that, and you can stock it with fish. And I think actually I do end up putting in like a little like fish sign. I think it's from Debug, so it doesn't actually function quite right, but you can use a real one if you swap it out so your Sims can actually fish there. So that is an option that you have if you'd like to use it that way, but your Sims can still look for frogs and play in it and just kind of hang out around it. So that's kind of up to you, however you want to play. Whether you want your Sims to actually be fishing. I think this would be a really cool way to like maybe live off the grid. I did not build it that way, but you could swap out some of the appliances or add in some like dew collectors, stuff like that, in order to like kind of self-sustain. You could go fishing, which would be kind of adorable too if they're living out in the forest and they just take care of themselves. And I do have those planter boxes out in the back if you would like to garden. I did put like just plants in it so that it just looks already filled and done, but you can easily remove those and plant if you would like to, or leave them just for aesthetics. Because I don't know, I feel like it's nice to have that kind of stuff, but I don't always want to like play with it. I don't always want to have my Sim keep up with actually having to garden and water and that kind of thing and swap out the different crops depending on the season. And so at this point I've just kind of turned it to nighttime to figure out like if there's enough light, that kind of thing. And then you can see the little like fireflies and like ducks, those little things on the ground. And if you're not familiar with those, basically what it does, it's kind of like a spawn point. So like when you're actually in live mode, you don't see those go away and they're replaced with fireflies and ducks and things like that. So it gives a really nice ambiance when you're actually in live mode. So those do go away. And I'm not sure, I want to say that those are base game, but I'm not 100% sure. I know that they came out around the time of Cottage Living, and I can't remember if it came with that pack or not. But we did get that ability to actually create proper ponds, and your Sim could actually interact with them, so that's actually fairly new for that to come to the game, at least this version of the game. And then here I'm actually just adding in these like debug fences, and I felt like that fit a little bit better. Instead of having all of this, the white picket fence all the way across, I thought it just looked a little bit better that way. And I do actually later end up adding some debug like stones to the pathways, which I think helped a lot in terms of personality. And so this is the gnome's home, and what I decided to do is both of them are 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. And for this one and the other one, the bathrooms are rather large. And that's just because like the rounded nature of the room made things a little bit awkward. So for your Sim to be able to navigate the space and for things to be in there and not look completely ridiculous, I ended up having to make it fairly large. But I think it turned out really nice in the end, and you'll see those in the screenshots as well. And I actually end up, right now, I'm thinking the kitchen's going to be on the left side, but I do actually end up swapping it to the right side because I was starting to think about how I'm actually going to fit in kitchen space again on that rounded wall. And I figured I needed a little more space to actually have a like proper kitchen. And I figured it'd be pretty easy to put a living space into that smaller area because those items I feel like are a little bit easier to like negotiate into small spaces versus like the counters. Not so much. Like they are very particular. I found out, especially when I was working on the fairies home, like there was a spot where I thought I could have put a counter, but it said no, I refuse. So we end up just moving that over, and I think it looks really nice. And both of them do have a small dining space. Like these are actually pretty sizable homes, and they are completely usable through screenshots. It got play tested, so it does work really nicely. Even though some of the spaces just look a little bit like maybe your Sim would have an issue, it's all good. And so this one actually I end up actually taking, I believe, one of those chairs out because I don't think I left it at 4. But yeah, just kind of pushing it up against the side of that curved wall. And that was kind of interesting. And so one of the things that I kind of had an issue with was I wanted to, like you can see the tiles right in front of the front door. I kind of wanted to make more of a proper entrance and put like the wood flooring in front of it. And so that's what I was trying to like draw out the walls so that maybe it created a room so that I could like put the floor in the room, because for whatever reason I think it's like the round walls, it just like auto like would place the tiles. So let me know in the comments if you've seen that before or you know how to fix it, because I was like, never mind, it'll be fine. Like the tile it'll work. And so We just add in a little bit of clutter here, just making it look a little more lived in. And I will say, for whatever reason on this lot, like move objects was kind of being annoying. Like I placed that paper towel roll on the counter and it like deleted my sink, which is not something it usually does, but it was being kind of odd. When I was actually building this lot, it happened a few times where it didn't let me place things, or it like would randomly delete things. So just a heads up, if you place the lot, if something doesn't like come through, then I don't know. move objects may have been kind of doing whatever it wanted to. And then in this space, I decided that I actually really wanted to use a fireplace because it just felt really homey, cozy, like cute fairy tale was what I was getting from that. So I ended up putting that on the flat wall over there. And I honestly really like when you turn the fireplaces on, like the glow it gives a room. I know that it is quite the fire hazard in The Sims. For whatever reason, it'll spontaneously catch things on fire like out of nowhere. Like you'll be fine, it'll be on for days, and then all of a sudden, boom, like it lights the rug on fire or something. So, but it was really cute here, and I do end up placing like 2 rocking chairs because of that curved wall. I was like, I don't exactly know what I want to do. And then I ended up using this adorable rug from the werewolf pack, which was I was really excited to be able to use because I haven't used it much yet, but I do love the swatches, but I feel like it can be a little particular in terms of how you would end up using it and like the spaces that it would look nice in. And then I end up just putting, like I said, the 2 rocking chairs, and then like I think of it as like a footstool in the corner that would go with the rocking chairs, but I didn't want to block the pathing for your Sims. And then I end up just putting that small little like storage unit in the hallway. And then I think I put a couple things on the wall over there. Like I think I end up putting like, oh yeah, that thing you put your, I guess it's a coat rack, but on the wall. And that broom. I really like the broom and dustpan because it just feels really realistic for you to have that. Although I've never had one that's hung on the wall. Ever. Like it's usually just put in a closet or something. Let me know if that's something you use, like, because I feel like I see it a lot, but I don't know how many people actually use it. And so I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want to place everything in this build. And so I end up actually putting this wall in because I decided that I wanted to put the shower tub combo in the corner, and that the wall kind of helped separate and make almost like a little entrance to the bathroom. And I put a little organizer there, which, I mean, listen, I love a good organizer in a bathroom. Like extra storage in a bathroom is something I love, at least for me. I actually keep like multiple like extras of like body wash and shampoo and stuff. So I like having extra space. I actually have basically one of those in my bathroom. Like I was like, when we moved, I was like, I hope it fits because it has to fit in the bathroom. Like I need a place to store all of my stuff. And or like I have a bunch of like makeup and stuff in there, as if I actually use that much makeup. I really don't, but I don't know, I have it. Like I wish I used it maybe, or I wish I was better at makeup, but it's just like not my thing. My sister is much better at that than I am. And then I just wanted this really cozy, cute room. I don't even know if I've actually used that swatch on the rug before, but I just felt like it fits so well with that red bed. And then just adding, again, I use a lot of candles because I just think it gives a really nice warm glow to spaces. So versus like some of the other lamps give like just really bright and harsh. And so I just ended up putting that cute little seating space there, and then just moving on to the fairies home. And I wanted it to have a slightly different floor plan than the gnome's house. I didn't want to do the same thing again. And especially dealing with these rounded walls, like I wanted to try something different to see what I could do. And this is where I was trying to put, I could have sworn I would have been able to put a cabinet there, and it said no. So we did not do that, but I wanted it to be a little more open and airy and just different from the gnome's home. And then we do end up, I basically I changed a lot from this, what I thought I would use here. I started originally with the green, like to go with the outside of the bill, but then I started thinking about what I would envision the fairy and like maybe what the fairy would like. And that sounds ridiculous to say out loud, but that's what I was doing and trying to feel out what I'd want there. And so I do swap some things around, and it does take me a minute to actually figure out what I want. And then I figured, since I was doing a fairy here, that actually using stuff from the Magic Realm pack, what is it? That doesn't sound like that's the right name. Anyways, the Magic Pack, whatever it's called, Realm of Magic, I think is actually the name of it. And I ended up using the stuff from it because I felt like, oh, like that kind of makes sense. It has that more like whimsical look to it, and I really liked that. And I ended up giving this fairy like a nice like bar area. So there's actually a lot of seating in this space, and I liked not having actually that hallway. I felt like it bought me more space in the bedroom. So in this slot, or this home, you actually have to go through the bedroom to get to the bathroom, but I figured it kind of makes sense if it's just like the one person maybe living here, and it's also The Sims, so it's all right. I mean, I remember having like an apartment back when I was doing my master's degree, and I loved this apartment so much. I really, really did, but it was always weird to me that the bathroom was inside the bedroom. So if I had like company over, they had to go through my bedroom to get to my bathroom. So that meant that like my whole house had to be clean. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I feel like sometimes when like I'd have people over, it's like you could just close your bedroom door, like, right, like people don't usually go in your bedroom, so you can just close the door, and just if there's extra stuff that you want to like put away, you can just shove it in the room and close the door, and then it's gone. I've done that many times before, and I feel like it's interesting now that we moved about a year ago to a 2-story house. It's the first two-story house I've ever lived in, and I feel like it's kind of like that. Like nobody goes upstairs, right? Except for like me and my husband, and then like if my mom comes over or something. So if there's stuff downstairs and I'm like, I don't want this downstairs while, company's over or whatever, we can just like throw it upstairs and it's totally fine. So it's it's like having a giant bedroom. And anyways, totally went on an aside there, but I'm just adding a little bit of clutter here. Clearly I went for this like really like light pink kind of vibe here, and I ended up just kind of going with that. And I took that like vampire tome thing. I don't actually know what that really is supposed to be, but I shrunk it down and put it inside of the cabinet because to me it looks like a really fancy cookbook, and I thought it just looked really nice and whimsical, and then it matched really well in this build. And for this dining space, I only gave the fairy 2 chairs because she's got 3 others like on the bar, so she can have all of her friends over. All of the fairies in the woods can come over and have dinner here. And so for this space, it was definitely interesting trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to put everything, and then it hit me that I could have this really cute like chess nook area and like a bookcase, and that would be really nice and have something for your Sims to do here. I feel like I don't use chess tables as much as maybe I should. I'm not sure. There is not a computer on this lot, but you could easily add one either like on one of the bar stools, since there's plenty of room, or even in the gnome home. Like you could probably put it in the hallway as well if you wanted to kind of swap some stuff around, and that's totally up to you and your gameplay and how you want to use it. And honestly, it doesn't matter if you want to download it and gut the houses and totally redo it. That's also fair. And fun story, actually, when I was doing screenshots for this, oh my gosh, it was a whole adventure, because I put the gnome and the fairy like in one household, and I moved them to this lot. And I didn't realize it, but this lot was a park. And so that meant I moved them over here, and now they lived in a park. Like that was the lot type. And then I couldn't edit it. I couldn't do anything. And random Sims would show up on the lot because it was a park, and that's what they do. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'll move them out. Well, then I tried to move them, and then it was like, well, the only option I had basically was to sell this stuff on this lot. And I was like, no, you are not selling the stuff that I have painstakingly placed that I want to take pictures of. So that was a whole entire thing. And then of course it was pouring. It was pouring rain when I was trying to do this. I was like, you have to be kidding me. Like the part of the really nice aesthetic is the outside, and it was pouring, which in The Sims, if it is pouring, like it creates puddles on the ground, and it's just not pretty, and they stick around. So that was a whole thing. And so I tried to just use there's like a weather machine in the game. So I was just like, oh, I'll just use that and have them like change it to clear skies. I'll be fine. Do you know how many times they failed that? Oh my gosh, so many times. So it just kept pouring. And then, I mean, it was just chaos. And then for whatever reason, the fairy she just kept freaking out like she did. Like when it storms in the game, your Sim will get scared and they'll want to run inside, which is totally fair. However, she'd be inside of her home, want to run, quote, inside and leave her mushroom. So I don't know why, but she would freak out, run, and then stand outside the gnome's house in the storm, and then she'd freak out some more because then she was outside, and like it was a whole thing. But I finally got rid of the rain. I was able to take screenshots, but it was a whole thing. I was like, you know what, this is not a huge lot, there's not a ton of rooms, like this will be good to like take screenshots of, and it just took a lot longer. I know that I should probably use MC Command Center to actually be able to control the weather. It's a mod, if you don't know, for The Sims that you can control a lot of things, and like I should probably try that. I don't have any mods in my game or any CC, but I feel like I might need to try it. But anyways, I ended up, you could see like I was messing around a lot with the bedroom, and the bed does work and get around both sides. You can see in the screenshots, and I created that gorgeous wardrobe for her. And then I did something very similar in the bathroom. Since it worked in the other house, I just used it again here. But I think it just looks super adorable. And I ended up, like I said earlier, I added in some of these rocks. That's actually, I think, from like Island Living, interestingly enough. But I really liked the way it looked, and I thought it just added a little something to this space and made it feel like there was more paths, because I just felt like there was a lot of dirt and it needed to be broken up a little bit. And I like the darker tone of this as well. And then just adding in a few more patches of flowers. And then I think at this point is when I figured out what I wanted to do for the little white spots. I ended up using a light from the wedding pack and just kind of raising them up, like placing them, making them bigger and smaller. But to me, it added so much to this build, especially at night. Actually, they light up just a little bit, not like a lot, so the mushrooms don't look like a beacon, but it just looks magical, which was what I was going for. Honestly, I really love this build, and I hope you enjoyed watching me make it and using it if you would like to. And again, let me know down below in the comments if you enjoyed the video, if you have any comments, suggestions, build ideas that you want to see on the channel. I would love to read through those. Love it when you leave me comments. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to see more videos, would really appreciate it so you can get notified every time I upload. So I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.